Yo, Jets Nation, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be breaking down Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Now, it is picking up some steam, and I want to break down some of the rumors, some of the reports that we're hearing all around the NFL about the New York Jets, the offensive coordinator search, the quarterback search. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to talk about in today's live stream, and I'm really excited to break it all down with you guys here on Jets Media. So if you guys are just tuning into the show, do me a gigantic favor. Hit that thumbs up button on your way in. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend watching the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. As we all know, the Buffalo Bills lose. They're eliminated. Those damn Buffalo Bills, who I always talk about on my roundtable every single Wednesday night, I always say these Bills fans, in my opinion, they don't really have a lot to talk about unless they go to the big game and win it. And they don't. Again. And they got destroyed by the Cincinnati Bengals. And I personally think that the AFC East is wide open. Now, I know that it's still the Buffalo Bills division. But what I saw this past season was the Jets beat the Bills with Zach Wilson, by the way. And the second time we versed the Bills, we competed with them hard until Mike White got hurt. And then the Bills outplayed us in that game. But we still fought them very hard. And obviously, for whatever reason, we can't beat the Pats. But the Dolphins, we beat them once, and we fought them hard the last game of the season. If we can just get a freaking quarterback in the building, like Aaron Rodgers, with another year under the Robert Saleh system on defense, with Sauce Gardner entering year number 2 with DJ Reed and all those boys, the defense is going to get better. We need to get a quarterback because now is the time. I'm not afraid of those Buffalo Bills. I really am not. And I'm not being a hater. I don't want to sound like I'm just hating on the Bills. But speaking from a Jets fan's perspective, looking at that team, based on how we played them 2 times, and after watching them play the Dolphins in the playoffs and then the Bengals in the playoffs, I'm not afraid of them. I'm not. So now's the time to go all in, to get your damn quarterback. Let's freaking go. Everybody run up that thumbs up button. How you guys doing? Rodgers, Super Bowl. You know the vibes, Jet Life. I'm preaching. You know. Jets fan Josh is in the house. Yo, what's good, Richie? I'm tuned in. My man Josh. I love that pro pick. That's a fire jacket you got on there. Kent, Bills look like crap for Cincy. They did, Kent. Pretty crazy stuff, man. I mean, speaking from a fan perspective, though, I do feel for the Bills Mafia. That stings. I mean, we don't know what that's like because we haven't been to the playoffs in so long. But just speaking from a fan's perspective, I feel for Bills Mafia just in terms of that heartbreak feeling. With that being said, give me that heartbreaking feeling in the playoffs, right? Am I right or what? So, guys, I want to talk about Ian Rappaport's report today on the Pat McAfee show. He highlights Aaron Rodgers, and he talks about the potential scenario of Aaron Rodgers being traded, and he brings up the Jets as a hypothetical scenario. If Aaron Rodgers does get moved, that it will be able to work cap-wise, and the Packers seem to be interested in trading him. So here's Ian Rappaport today on the Pat McAfee show. So listen in.
Here's the thing about Rodgers being traded. Because of the way his contract is structured, a trade is possible. It's like you can do it financially. You can come up with the compensation. I think Green Bay likes what they have in Jordan Love. So, like, if they got the right package, I think they could do a deal. It would be $60 million for one season somebody would pay him. That is what he's on the books for cash next year. So if you trade for, let's say you're the Jets. Let's say you're the Jets and you're like, all right, we're going to go all in. We're trading for Aaron Rodgers. You're going to be trading for a quarterback you're giving up a first rounder for, I'm sure, probably more, and pay $60 million, which would be by far the highest paid quarterback. So
cold situation
could do it, but like that is an astronomical amount.
Right. What's a cold situation?
You got to come.
Here's the thing about Rodgers being traded.
So you heard it there from Rappaport. He brought up the Jets as a hypothetical scenario, and that is really it, man. I'm not sure. So the cap hit, according to Spock Track, it is an interesting situation. So if the Jets get this trade done, Aaron Rodgers going into 2023 his cap hit, according to Spock Track, is 31 mil. But the cash is $60 million. So I guess that means that the Jets can get it done, man. I know that seems like a lot of money, but the reality is the Jets are in a position where they could go all in for Aaron Rodgers, and they can figure it out cap-wise. They can figure it out with the finances and the draft capital. But if you really break down what Aaron Rodgers would bring to the New York Jets, man, a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, I don't think, like, are there people that are against Aaron Rodgers? That's a great question. Because I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, because everyone has to be able to let their voice be heard. So I'm going to put in the chat real quick your thoughts of Aaron Rodgers. Would you want Aaron Rodgers on the Jets? So I'm putting a poll up. Let me know. Because if you think about it this way, man, we have a window to win right now. We have a lot of young talent. I made this point last week on my stream about going all in for Lamar Jackson. We are all in to win right now. This is different where the Jets are interested in this veteran quarterback, but we're not really ready to win. We are ready to win. And I'm not saying that there's holes in the roster that we got to figure out. I'm not saying this team is perfect, but we have a lot of young talent on this roster that gets me excited. That should get every single one of you excited. And most frankly, it gets the New York Jets organization excited. Guys like Sauce Gardner, first team All-Pro as a rookie. I do not think we all understand how incredible that is. Garrett Wilson in the same draft class, who could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. If he doesn't, he's going to be second. 1,100 yards. We have a number one receiver on the roster for cheap for 4 years under contract. Technically 2 years before you bring up some contract negotiations for an extension. You got Breece Hall under contract who's going to get back eventually. You got Elijah Moore, who I think will benefit from a guy like Aaron Rodgers and a new offensive system. You got Elijah Vera-Tuck. I mean, you don't need me to tell you all these young talent that we have. Not to mention the veterans that we got who are dogs. Quinnen Williams, DJ Reed, CJ Mosley. Like, there's so many guys on this team, and we're going to have to pay all these guys eventually. So when we do have them on the books for cheap, now is when you go all in. After seeing what the Buffalo Bills look like in the playoffs, you got to be able to get a quarterback to compete with Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, who are the best quarterbacks in the league, by the way. Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes are going to run the AFC for a long time. And the Jets need to get a quarterback that can compete against those guys. We have a defense that I think that can contain them. I don't think we have a defense that can shut down Joe Burrow or shut down Mahomes in the playoffs. I don't think we have that. But I do think we have a defense that can make some plays and hold them enough if we have an offense that can really balance it out. So, my opinion, if you want to rank the quarterbacks that I'd prefer the Jets to get in, number one, it's Lamar Jackson, just because we're not really talking about Lamar in this video. We talked about that last week, but Lamar's number one for me. Aaron Rodgers is number two for me. Derek Carr is number three. I would be okay with any of these three guys. If we do not come away with one of these three guys, I will be very disappointed. Who's the fourth guy? Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't know. The fourth option I really don't want to get into. And to be honest with you guys, man, I just don't like to rely on quarterbacks developing anymore. I don't like to rely on quarterbacks' potential. I want production. I want to look at a quarterback and have confidence when he's dropping back into the pocket instead of having a pit in my stomach wondering if it's going to be interception or not that I have had my whole life. I'm sure you guys had. Being a very young Jets fan, that is an anxiety that's just programmed in my brain by now. Like, when we drafted Mark Sanchez, he was great in certain situations, but you know that he was turnover prone. We get Geno Smith. I'm like, all right, Geno, as a young Jets fan, we drafted him in 2013. I was like 15 years old. And I'm like, every time Geno dropped back to pass, I was just nervous he's going to make a mistake because he was young and not playing good. Fitzpatrick, I actually had some confidence in him, but he was a veteran, right? Josh McCown. I don't need to go through all the quarterbacks that we've had in our history, but reality is I've never looked at a quarterback on this Jets team and had a lot of confidence in every time they drop back the pass. And I want that. And Aaron Rodgers would give me that. Aaron Rodgers would give me an opportunity to feel like, wow, we can actually go win. This is the future Hall of Famer that we're talking about here. So if you want to get into the chat, we'll see 61% are okay with Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the chat as well. And I'll also want to bring in some callers eventually. That's for sure. We're going to bring in some callers. We're going to get into all of that great stuff. You already know the vibe. So, guys, if you could do me a gigantic favor, hit that like button on your way into the show. We're just getting started here on the Jets Media live stream. You guys know what to do. 35 likes, 105 viewers. Let's run up that thumbs up button, baby. So this stream is powered by BetUS, the official sportsbook sponsor of Jets Media. If you guys want to sign up for BetUS today, you will get a 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,500. Or there's another link where you can get $50 for free just by signing up, not even making a deposit. BetUS is where you would go to place your bets on the playoffs. We're coming off a great weekend of playoff football. We got another great weekend of playoff football on the way with the championship Sunday. The Niners taking on the Eagles, and then we got the Bengals against the Chiefs. Wow, look at this. They're even. The Bengals and Chiefs are even right now, which is very interesting. And then we got the Eagles as 2.5-point favorites. So if you guys want to download BetUS, click the link down below in the description today and sign up for BetUS. I greatly appreciate BetUS for sponsoring today's show. Now, let's get back into Aaron Rodgers because I just feel like I've never been this hungry for a damn quarterback in so long. And just so you guys know, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets picking up steam. This is just a conversation about it. There's people talking about it. This isn't me having any sources saying it's happening. I don't want you guys to get confused by the thumbnail or the title or the banner right here. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. This is an open conversation for us as a fan base to have together to kind of negotiate because all the pieces are linking Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. We've heard a lot of people talk about the Packers potentially being open to trading him because they like what they see in Jordan Love. They'd be open to moving him if they get the right package back, and that's important in this situation. And I also think Aaron Rodgers would handle New York well. And I know that he kind of has a polarizing personality, if you say. But I just feel like he just doesn't care about the media. Like he kind of has that presence where he just sits back and if someone asks him a question, he's just going to say what he has to say and he's not going to bat an eye. And I feel like he'll be able to go back and forth with the reporters and being able to handle the New York media is unfortunately part of being the quarterback for the New York Jets. And I feel like Aaron Rodgers will be able to do that. No problem. Will he cause some type of stir? Yeah, probably because Aaron Rodgers does do that. But then bringing in a veteran at his age, some people are like, he's too old. Is it too much of a risk? Is he past his prime? I don't know, man. I think that Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career, he's ready to go. Fresh change of scenery. And a lot of people will compare it back to the Brett Favre to the Jets. Brett Favre to the Jets. Oh, God. Here we go again. Not this again. I just feel like you can't look at those two situations. I mean, I get it. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, very similar situations on the Jets per se. But this is a different team than it was back when we got Brett Favre. What was that, 15 years ago or something like that? Different roster, different experience right here on this team. And I just feel like you get Aaron Rodgers. Why don't we think about the weapons that we have on this team for a sec? Right? Garrett freaking Wilson. You see what Aaron Rodgers did with Devante Adams? And I'm not here to say that Garrett Wilson is a Devante Adams. But hey, why can't he be? By the way, I'm just going to look up something because I guarantee you Devante Adams did not have the rookie season that Garrett Wilson had. Let's look up his stats real quick. Devante Adams was kind of a late bloomer. Devante Adams had 38 receptions for 446 yards and 3 touchdowns in his rookie season. So Garrett Wilson's a little ahead of schedule. Well, you also have to put in consideration Devante Adams was not the number one receiver that season, his rookie year. I get that. But Aaron Rodgers has experience with a very talented receiver that developed into the number one guy that they drafted. Garrett Wilson's on the roster. Can you imagine what Rodgers would do with Garrett Wilson? He would teach him all the things that Devante Adams did, because what made Devante Adams so great was his ability to just take what the cornerback is giving him and use that to his advantage, where he would read the cornerback's position on man coverage. Like, okay, if your hips go this way, I'm going that way. If you stutter that way, I'm going this way. Like it really determined based on what the DB did is what he's going to do. And I feel like Aaron Rodgers would tell Garrett Wilson exactly what Devante Adams did, because how many times did we see Aaron Rodgers just at the line of scrimmage look at Devante Adams, nod his head, or have some type of communication telepathically somehow, some hand gestures, and they'd be on the same page, and it'd be a touchdown in the red zone every freaking single time. I'm down for that connection with Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Now, connecting it to the offensive coordinator search, we heard a rumor and a report that Nathaniel Hackett is a very, very likely option for the New York Jets at the OC. Now, I know that a lot of people kind of have some mixed feelings about Nathaniel Hackett. You got to remember, we're not getting Nathaniel Hackett as our head coach. We're getting him as an offensive coordinator who, by the way, was a very good offensive coordinator, which gave him the head coaching job in the first place for the Denver Broncos. Now, if we bring in Nathaniel Hackett, does that guarantee that we get Aaron Rodgers? No, it does not. But I personally am a little more okay with getting Nathaniel Hackett than most, because you look at what he did. People say, well, Richie, he didn't call the plays for Green Bay. He didn't, but what he was in charge with for the Packers that year, by the way, that Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs, he was the game planning manager and he was the red zone specialist. Matt LaFleur called the plays, but when they got into the red zone, he was the guru behind that. And I think we all can agree that the biggest issue with this offense this past season for the Jets is red zone offense, right? And I'm not saying Nathaniel Hackett's a perfect guy. I'm not trying to sell you on him, but he's an experienced guy, and you cannot really look at his experience with the Denver Broncos and connect it to an OC, because you can be a terrible head coach and be a great OC. That is a fact. There's so many examples around this league where people get a head coach job, it fails miserably, they go back to being an OC or even a DC for that matter, and they're just one of the better ones in that position. Because you got to realize that being a head coach is a completely different responsibility than coaching one side of the football. When you're the head coach, you not only have to coach the offense, defense, and special teams, but you got to worry about your entire coaching staff, the front office communication. I mean, there's so much more on your plate when you're a head coach. So you bring in Nathaniel Hackett, hypothetically. He can even be the senior, offensive consultant. He doesn't even have to be the OC. If the Jets want to get really creative, they could bring in Nathaniel Hackett, and then they can hire Kubiak, who they just interviewed, and he could be the OC calling the plays, while Hackett is the red zone specialist, and he's that senior consultant role. Right? That's a thing. There's a lot of young potential guys. So let's get into the offensive coordinator search just a little bit more. So here are the Jets offensive coordinator candidates that they are interviewing. Nathaniel Hackett, who we talked about, Brian Johnson, Kevin Patullo, and Marcus Brady. They're all members of the Philadelphia Eagles, so they cannot talk with the Jets. Well, they can talk with the Jets, but they can't get hired or anything until they're done with the playoffs. Nick Haley, who I don't think is going to happen. I mean, I should just take his name off the list. I hope it doesn't happen, right? Joe Brady, Bills quarterback coach, which would be interesting. Clint Kubiak, who is the Denver passing game coordinator and the quarterback coach. Now, out of these guys, I would also like to bring in Nathaniel Hackett as a senior consultant and then bring in a guy like Brian Johnson or Kevin Patullo. I mean, look at what the Eagles are doing, bro. That team is very well coached, offensively speaking, man. So here are the options for the Jets. I would like them to interview Greg Olsen. I heard that Greg Olsen is being interviewed by the Chargers. I haven't heard any rumors about the Jets interviewing him. I would like to see that potentially, but we have not. So that's really the update on the Jets OCs. And bring me freaking A-Rod, bro. Just bring me A-Rod. Is it too much to ask for me to want Aaron Rodgers on my freaking team? So let me know your guys' thoughts in the chat right now. How you feel about the hypothetical scenario and what OC do you want to bring in? Let me know which OC do you want the Jets to bring in. And listen, man, the beautiful thing about this offseason is Aaron Rodgers is not the only option. The Jets have a chance to get Derek Carr, who I think they are very interested in, and it's very likely that Derek Carr is a Jet. But Aaron Rodgers is also a guy that Robert Saleh and all these people in the Jets organization are having conversations about, wondering, should we go after this guy or that guy? All right, so we're going to open this up to a call-in session, so you guys can feel free to let me know your thoughts about Aaron Rodgers and the overall state of the offseason and any questions you may have. So I'm going to pin this at the top of the live show, and you guys can join it, call in for a little bit. But it is now pinned at the top of the chat. If you guys want to call in, talk some ball, let's freaking go. Appreciate all you guys tuning in as always. If you did not already, hit that like button. We got 60 likes. Woo! I like that. My man Mike Snow White knows the vibes. He just knows to hit the like button. He's just a good guy. Mike White. Mike White. All righty. Here we go. Everyone is piling in. We appreciate it. We appreciate that. Hold on one second. There we go. All right, guys, we're going to start bringing in some callers for a little bit. We appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning into the show as always. With that being said, let's bring in the first caller.
Hello.
Hello. Hear me?
How everyone doing well here?
What's
Hello?
up? Can you hear
hope
me?
everyone's doing well. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, man. How you
I can
doing?
hear you. Doing good. Felt good seeing the Bills get destroyed. To be honest, I was in my heart rooting for them, but in the end of the day, once I saw the Bengals get up, I was like, you know what? Why not see the Bengals win? Why not see the Bengals win against them? But,
Yeah, that definitely felt good, man.
yeah, it definitely felt so good. It makes us feel like, oh yeah, we definitely have a chance. We definitely have a chance. We have a chance to win this division if we do it right. If we do this whole quarterback situation and OC right. So my thing about AWOD, to be honest, is I just don't know if he'll like really do well with the media because the media could be very, very useful. And I don't know if he could really handle it in a way that like it doesn't hurt the team. Like that's my only thing. I feel like Lamar Jackson would handle it better than AWOD, in my eyes. I feel like he could handle it more because
You said who instead of Aaron Rodgers?
Lamar Jackson.
Interesting. Yeah. So I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you so much, as always, for the support. And that was a great call. He mentioned a point where he doesn't know if Aaron Rodgers can handle the New York media, and he would prefer Lamar Jackson. And I can get that. I just feel like Rodgers has been in the spotlight for so long. I know that Green Bay isn't a big market, but Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and he knows what it's like when people just disagree with him and write stuff bad about him, to the point where when that does happen, if he does come to the Jets and people are writing stuff about him and he's going viral in New York, I just feel like it won't faze him. You know, that's my point. Like, he won't really get upset by it because he's nationally being, I don't know. I just feel like he'd be able to handle the New York market personally. And I'd prefer Lamar Jackson over Aaron Rodgers as well, but I just feel like it's not as realistic. That's my take on that. So thank you for the call. As always, my friend, we're going to get to the next one. We got Will tuning in. What's up, Will?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Can you hear me good?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hear you fine.
Well, I'm loving Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think he's a pretty good option, but, obviously he wouldn't be able to stick with us very long. I mean, he signed the I can't remember. I think it was a 4-year deal with the Packers, but obviously probably won't stay with them. So I don't think he's a great future option, but I think, someone like Lamar Jackson might be better for a longer run, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, the risk with Aaron Rodgers is you're kind of going all in for 2 years, right? 1, 2, maybe even 3 years. Whereas on Lamar, if he comes available, you give him a contract extension, 4 to 5 seasons, and he's your franchise quarterback. So that's
younger, healthier, yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate that call because it really is something that Jets fans need to weigh. Are we going all in for the short term and trying to win it, or do you want to more have a sustainable quarterback for the long run, right?
Yeah. Clearly didn't work with Zach Wilson, wanted him to be the future, but we all know how that went.
Yeah, we all know that one went. Well, Will, I appreciate the call, my friend. You bring up a great point. Have a good rest of your day, my friend. Let's go Jets. Yeah, so Will definitely brings up a good point, whereas, Aaron Rodgers, he kind of gives you an opportunity to win, but it's a short window. Whereas the other guys like Lamar Jackson, even Derek Carr, by the way, would give you more sustainability. Derek Carr is 32 years old. Aaron Rodgers is 39, 40. You get Derek Carr in the building, you kind of have Derek Carr, you could say for 3, maybe even 4 years. Rodgers, it's kind of like, all right, unless he's pulling off with Tom Brady, where he's playing until he's 45, I don't know about that one. So we appreciate the call. How do you call in? If you click the link at the top of the chat, you see the link for StreamYard. Click on that link, and that will bring you to the show. Next caller, Josh, my man.
What's up, Richie? How you doing, man? Can you hear me good?
Yeah,
can you hear me? Okay. So I ain't got really too much to say about this topic. Going back to what the last caller was saying, Aaron Rodgers is not a good future pickup. But either way, with me personally, I don't care who we pick up. I don't care if it's Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, or Aaron Rodgers. Either way, we're going to the playoffs this year. So I don't care about that. So and I'm not too big on the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. I just hope we get the best one out there. And and if we don't make the playoffs this year, I feel like it's going to be based off of injuries again, because we have to keep these special players healthy. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Elijah Vera Tucker, all the special players have to stay healthy on the field, especially Mekhi Becton. He's going to be a big factor this year. So he has to come back. Good. So that's really all I have for today. So, glad to be back on the show, Richie. Keep this show going. Love your show. Salute to you, man.
Salute to you, Josh.
Jets.
Woo! We appreciate that,
sir.
my man. Big time. Josh has been he's been on this channel every single week throughout the season. Great to see him in the offseason. And I agree with pretty much everything he says, man. We are going to the playoffs next year. We just got to stay freaking healthy. Stay healthy, man. It's so tiring watching our, injuries happen. But when it happens to the most significant people like Breece Hall and Elijah Vera Tucker, who at that moment when they got hurt, everyone was raving about how good they are and how they are literally the reason why we're winning, and they get taken away from us in one game. But yeah, man, I think that this Jets team is ready to go into the playoffs. We have a playoff roster, but we just need a quarterback, right? We don't have one yet, so can't really get ahead of ourselves. And I think if we get one of the 3 quarterbacks, like Josh mentioned, Lamar, Rodgers, or Carr, I think that we are a playoff team. Because guess what, guys? We were almost a playoff team this season with a revolving door at the quarterback spot, where all 3 of them were kind of ass, by the way. Zach Wilson, Mike White, and Joe Flacco, they didn't play elite-level quarterback, but we still had a chance to make the playoffs. And we fumbled it. Which is why we need a quarterback. And the good thing about this right now is we heard Woody Johnson talk to the media and say that he will do anything in the power which gives Joe Douglas the freedom to be aggressive, to go get their quarterback. We heard Robert Saleh say it as well. This is going to look like a different team next year, man, and I'm excited to see who it is. All right, next caller, we got the one and only Happy in the house. What's good, man?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I got two scenarios for you today. Let's go with the Carr route first. So I think now I've super chatted you this before. I think the best way that we get Derek Carr is we get him over the trade, like with a 6th-round pick or something like that, and then we get Devante Adams. And the reason why I say Devante Adams is just think what are Garrett Wilson and Devante Adams would be with Derek Carr behind there. Just think for a second, how deadly weapons would those two be? And then we have Breece Hall in the backfield. That would be like no one could stop us.
no one would stop us. I mean, that is just that's ridiculous. Even visioning Devante Adams and Garrett Wilson lining up next to each other on opposite ends. I mean, that's sign me up. I just don't know if that will happen, but why not dream?
And so I posted something on the big, large Facebook group for the Jets, and they were all criticizing me because I'm not a big Moore fan right now because I feel like he acted like AB and he was really selfish, and they went off on me completely on that Facebook page.
I mean, listen, Elijah Moore did definitely come off. I wouldn't say Antonio Brown, but I definitely would say he came off a little selfish in that moment. I'll never forget when that news broke. I was really disappointed, not really knowing the situation, but we heard an article from The Athletic got posted, I think, last week about what really happened, and he was just very frustrated with LaFleur, very frustrated with Zach Wilson, and he let his frustration loose. And I'm hopeful that a new offensive system and a new quarterback will unlock Elijah Moore's potential with this Jets team. So, Poppy, I appreciate the call, and as always, my friend, and let's go Jets. And I'll catch you guys I'll catch you next time, my friend. Thank you so
too,
much.
man. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you so much for that. And listen, whenever there's a player that demands a trade on your roster, as a fan, you kind of look at them and like, wow, you're really turning your back on us. But I'm not doing that with E. Moore, man. I just feel like he just had no connection with LaFleur, because you think about it this way, Zach Wilson was a quarterback that could barely even get to his second read. You'll be focused on the number one read, and then you'll be 1-2, 1-2. And LaFleur simplified the offense for Zach Wilson to the point where just look at your 1 and look at your 2. He never allowed Zach Wilson, because he couldn't handle it, go to his 3rd and 4th reads. And guess who that 3rd and 4th read was? Elijah Moore. So Elijah Moore was very frustrated with the offense because he was not getting targeted, because we had a quarterback who was not spreading the ball around. Look what happened when Mike White went out there. Not saying Mike White is the guy, but what Mike White did instead of Zach Wilson was able to go to the number 1, 2, 3, 4 reads. And that's why we saw Elijah Moore get the ball all of a sudden, because Elijah Moore was the 2nd and 3rd reads. If that's making more sense to you guys, that's kind of has a lot to do with Elijah Moore and the New York Jets. So that's why you get a guy like Rodgers or a Carr or even a Lamar in a new system. Don't sleep on the potential and the talent that Elijah Moore really has, man, because I think that in the right situation, he's going to thrive, and I believe that, and I'll stand on it. Let's go, baby. All right, next caller, we got Ray.
Yeah, man, I really feel like you're spot on with the quarterback taking us where we need to go. I feel like we're just a quarterback away from the Super Bowl, man. We're just a quarterback away from the Super Bowl, man. I'd be happy with Carr. I'd be happy with Wilson. I'd be happy with any one of them that has the experience and all that to take us where we need to go. Any one of them will work, man. We're going straight to the Super Bowl because of this defense we got. This defense is stellar.
So watching the playoffs right now, you believe that the defense that we have can contain a Burrow or Mahomes?
Oh yeah.
Or even
I think the Jets defense is so good. We could frustrate anybody right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree
Especially
with that.
what happened with the Chiefs game, and then the way Mahomes got hurt and all that, the way people, couldn't stop that from happening. I think, yeah. Cincinnati, all of them. I think the Jets could see anybody defensively. I think the only people that might give us a real a run for the money is San Fran and the Eagles defense. Other than that, I think Philly. I think the Jets can handle anybody.
And I think this defense has a chance to get even better with another year. I mean, look at the history, man. We had the first year with Saleh, which was bottom of the league, into top 5. Imagine what they can do bouncing off of a top 5 season.
Yeah,
never
I
know.
really do. I think
Next-
it's going to get much better.
The next step for the defense is takeaways. And I think we all can understand taking the ball away. The Jets defense did that a lot in the first half of the season. They did not do it as much in the second half. Do that more consistently. Sauce gets better. DJ Reed, all these boys. But the more important thing is, like you mentioned, Ray, we need a damn quarterback, and we're a quarterback
Yeah.
away. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we don't acknowledge the other holes on this team, but there's
Yeah.
enough talent on this roster where you bring in a quarterback.
Yeah.
We can do
I
it.
think the defense is so tough, it'll just overshadow any problems we got. We right quarterback and this defense, we're going straight to Super Bowl, man.
Well, I love that confidence, Ray. I appreciate
Yeah.
the call.
Yeah.
Let's
You're
go,
welcome,
Jets.
man. Yeah, let's go.
I mean, look at that. We have Jets fans that are all in. Super Bowl with one of those three quarterbacks. And who's going to tell me we can't? Okay? What's wrong with dreaming? What's wrong with believing it? I love it. I'm all in. V-Man's back.
Hey, what's up? Remember,
Good.
I was in the AFC East roundtable when I made that comment about that Pokemon game.
Yes.
The Dolphins fans. Well, guess what I have in my hand?
Pokemon card?
No, that very Pokemon game.
Wow. Look at you.
Yeah,
all
but
the way
no,
back in 2002.
yeah, no, this is actually July. This came out July 2001.
Wow. Vintage.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I agree with a lot of the callers' picks. Like, watching the playoffs this weekend, seeing the Bills. I mean, their grip on this division, I think, is going to weaken substantially this offseason. They're going to lose a lot of guys free agency. They weren't that good. Allen's still Josh Allen, but like I think with the way that team is, they're not going to be able to keep everybody intact. They're going to lose a lot this offseason, and they're going to regress. And then you look at the Patriots, I think they're still a mess. Like, let's be real, what offensive coordinator is going to want to go there? I mean, they're a mess there. Miami still has quarterback issues, and they need a new defensive coordinator. They're not. I don't think they're going to be that. I don't know how much of a jump they can make defensively. It's a question mark there. But like I said, the Jets, the defense is here. We know the offensive talent is here. We just need the quarterback and the coordinator. And I think, with a Derek Carr, with an Aaron Rodgers, with a Lamar Jackson, you put that one of those guys on this team right now, make the necessary tweaks to the offensive line, maybe do a little bit of upgrading to linebacker and safety. You're looking at a team that can easily play for the division.
You are. I genuinely believe that, V-Man. I really do. After seeing what the Bills look like in the playoffs, and more importantly, be competing against that Bills team by beating them and all those things, man. I like the way that we look. We're quarterback away, V-Man. So I agree, and I appreciate the call, and as always, my friend.
All right.
V-Man always bringing in the heat. 100 people has liked the stream. Woo! Thank you guys so much, man. That really does help out the channel a lot. 100 people flat. Oh, 101. Let's go. Thank you. Hit it up. All right. Next caller. We got a lot of interesting takes coming on here. And don't forget about the offensive coordinator on top of the quarterback, because that's an important thing that we have to talk about. Jets Johnny's in the house, though. What's up, Jets Johnny?
Yo, what up, Richie? First time caller, man. Love your show, bro.
Appreciate that, man. Welcome.
Yeah. So just a couple of things. I think you have to go all in for Aaron Rodgers. I think that's the only answer at quarterback. Like, Derek Carr's good. We know he's an upgrade. But if we've seen anything in the playoffs, it's you got to be able to make plays from the quarterback position. Defense is great. Special teams is great. But your quarterback has to be able to make plays. And, like, when you look at the game yesterday, Joe Burrow made all the plays, and Josh Allen was just chucking the ball down the field as far as he could throw it every play. So I like Derek Carr. He's obviously an upgrade over Zach Wilson. But for me, like, 3 first-round picks, whatever you got to do to get Aaron Rodgers in the building, like, you got to do it. And I think that shores us up. And we were almost competing for the division this year with historically bad quarterback play. So, I mean, you put Derek Carr, like, the division is definitely in play. But I think you give us Aaron Rodgers, and the sky's the limit, man. Like, that dude can ball, and I would love to see Aaron Rodgers on the team, and so that's my only real point, man. And I hope we get it done. And any real Jets fan would love to have Aaron Rodgers on the team. So have a good one.
100%, Johnny. We appreciate the call, man. Appreciate the call. That was a great first-time caller right there. Me and him are on the same wavelength right there. Aaron Rodgers, you go all in. Because I am at a stage of my Jets fandom where I've never been before, where I feel comfortable giving up future draft capital if that means we're getting a damn quarterback that knows what the hell he's doing, because I have confidence in the team that is presented today. I like the talent that we have right now. And you heard Johnny say exactly what I was talking about earlier. This Jets team was close to winning the damn division with awful quarterback play. Awful. 3 different quarterbacks. Bad, and bad. Can you imagine if we actually had a competent quarterback? Do I have to remind you guys that the Jets would have won 11 games if the offense put up the league average points per game, which was 22? 11 wins. Would have been in the playoffs. So that's why when we're saying we're a quarterback away, we are a quarterback away. Because what do quarterbacks do? Good quarterbacks bring up points. So I don't know, man. Just give me a damn quarterback, please. All right. Next caller, we got Phenom. What's up, my man?
Hey, Ricky, can you hear me fine? How are you?
I can hear you good, my man. How you doing?
I'm terrific. I slightly vary to what you have to say. You're right. That's the question. This is the question. We are a quarterback away, but we have other positions, positions of need.
For sure.
To put us over the top. Linebacker, safety, offensive line, obviously. This is still 3 phases that we win in professional football: offense, defense, special teams. Special teams need to be improved as well. So, will Aaron Rodgers bring us a championship solely? No, he won't. I'm sorry.
You're right.
Will added some depth on defense and obviously all the other things that I brought up, will that bring us a championship? Yes, because the teams that win in the playoffs are almost complete teams. You saw Cincinnati. Their defense is good. Their special teams are fine. Their offense is lethal. Are the Jets at that point yet? No, we're not. Our depth was tested, and our depth failed last year. We had multiple injuries. It did pretty well, but when you took away our first level, our second level didn't perform on that same level, if that makes sense. So, and what did we learn? The last question, and I'm going to let you go because I want to hear what you have to say. What did we learn from the Brett Favre experiment that happened years ago? Slightly different, but at the end of the day, we couldn't protect Brett Favre. He got injured, and we were winning. We were 8-3 at that point with Brett Favre. So, as much as I like to say, that Aaron Rodgers would be the end-all be-all, he's not.
I hear where you're coming from, my man. I appreciate the call as always, Phenom. Thank you, my friend.
All right, Richie. Thanks for the great content always, man.
Always, my friend. Appreciate you. Let's go Jets. So he brings up an excellent point. And the thing that I always like to come back to on this quarterback search is that there's risks involved in every single one of them. And the whole idea of being a quarterback away, when I say that personally, I acknowledge the holes on the roster and you got to be a complete team. But I just feel like the Jets have never had a quarterback that I can look at with confidence that says, yeah, that guy can get the job done to the point where he can elevate guys around him. And that's what good quarterback play does. And that's what we have been lacking forever, a quarterback that can elevate guys around you. Now, do the Jets have holes at the offensive line? I think if there's one position that needs the most work on this team outside of the quarterback, it's the offensive line. Because you mentioned the Cincinnati Bengals. How did the Bengals beat the the Bills yesterday, not only was their defense great, but it was their offensive line, which, by the way, everybody was saying going into that game is banged up and that's a big weakness. Well, no, their depth was tested and their depth was dominant. Their offensive line was literally the reason why that offense was so lethal yesterday in the run game with Joe Mixon and even Pirine protecting Burrow. You got to have the quarterback in Burrow first, but this Jets team, the foundation with Douglas and Saleh when they linked arms 2 years ago was to build this team through the trenches. And they need to stack this offensive line. And it's unfortunate that we can't stay healthy, but this offseason is not only going to be about the quarterback, but how can we get 5 offensive linemen on this team, stay healthy for a full year, or at least just miss a couple of games? This offensive line needs to be dominant, because if you bring in Aaron Rodgers with the dominant offensive line, with Breece Hall running the ball, with Carter and Bam Knight and all these weapons around him, that's what's going to change the dynamic of this team, man. And that's why I feel like this Jets team is in a position to go in, because if you don't go with the perspective they're a quarterback away, what else do you want them to do? Settle for mediocrity at quarterback? Settle for Gardner Minshew and just go with the youthful route? Throw Zach Wilson out there? Re-sign Mike White, throw him out there? I just feel like the Jets are in a position today where they have enough assets to go get a quarterback and invest in their offensive line. And they don't need to touch the offense, by the way, outside of those two positions. And those are the big positions to fill. Quarterback and offensive line, that's going to be very expensive. But you don't really have to worry about the running backs. You don't really have to worry about the tight ends. Wide receiver, you probably will want to bring in another one if you get rid of Corey Davis, whether that's the draft or free agency. But fixing the offensive line needs to be the number one priority. And don't get it twisted. There are some pieces of this O-line already that we have that should get us excited. Elijah Vera-Tucker. Mekhi Becton, big wild card. My man Josh brought him up, and I'm happy he did, because Mekhi Becton, if he can stay healthy, he's a dominant force. But the problem is he can't stay healthy. So, Mekhi, let's see it, man. Laken Tomlinson coming off a down year, but maybe in a new system, you never know. That man's a former Pro Bowler, and he's an all-pro talent, but I know he had a disappointing season. We have a hole at center with Connor McGovern because he's a free agent. If you bring him back, that's okay. So, I don't know, man. This Jets team needs to go all in on the quarterback and the offensive line this offseason, and let's go freaking win, man. All right, we're going to get into the last couple of callers. We appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning into the show today. We got Yaks Jets tuning in.
What's up, Reggie?
What's up, man?
Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yep, can hear you good.
Okay, good. What do you think the difference in the amount of money that Lamar, Carr, and Rodgers will get? Because obviously you'd rather like Lamar if Lamar is going to get the same amount of money as the other two quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think Lamar Jackson, you're giving him a contract that doesn't compare at all to Carr and Rodgers, where it's going to be, he's looking for fully guaranteed money up to 4 years, up to 200 plus potentially. Whereas Derek Carr, if you trade for him, you already have the contract on your books, which is like 3 years, cap hit of like 30, 35 million, which is honestly really cheap if you think about it compared to other quarterbacks. And Aaron Rodgers is the more expensive one for the short term. So it's either you go all in for to win now at Rodgers with a high cap money hitting for the next couple of seasons, or you get Derek Carr, it's cheaper option, or Lamar Jackson, which is the most expensive of it all. And they all come with different risks. They all come with different rewards. And I think that it's up to the Jets to really balance these risks and rewards and figure out what really balances it. But, Lamar's looking for a lot of money. And if he does get traded, by the way, the only reason he gets traded is because the Ravens are not giving him enough money. And the Jets would have to give him way more money than the Ravens are offering for him to even come here, right? And if Derek Carr gets cut, then he's a free agent. Then we can negotiate with him ourselves and try to work out some contracts. So, from the money perspective, I wouldn't really focus too much on that, just because I think that the Jets are going to make the right decision in terms of what best fit. But if you're thinking about what quarterback gives you the best chance to win around him in terms of best talent around the quarterback, rather, it's Derek Carr, simply because he's the cheapest option.
Right. Love your channel, man. See you.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate that call. You bring up a great question, man. And I feel like Jets fans need to understand that you have to really pay for quarterback play. You got to pay for a good quarterback in this league. And I'm at a spot, man, where I'm like, just pay, okay? If it doesn't work out, I'll live with the consequences as long as I know that they tried. Because I'm so sick of the Jets sitting on their hands and just waiting for a quarterback to develop over time, and it never works. We sat through the Sam Darnold experiment and it went to shit. We sat through the Zach Wilson experiment and that went to even more shit. Now's the time to go out there and not do that all over again and bring in a quarterback that is experienced. Jets gang, what's good, bro?
What up? What up? Hey, I got a different. I'm a Zach guy, so I like
Nice.
Zach. I want him to still be the QB. I just think my perspective is I think the Jets should keep Zach, bringing another QB like not Carr or one of them, but like Jimmy G or somebody, and just get a good OC. Because I think we didn't really do enough for Zach. Because when you look at McDaniel, you know how you said LaFleur told Zach to read 2 receivers. Tua with McDaniel was not even reading the defense. He basically was just dropping back, throwing the ball to a spot. It was almost like Mike LaFleur didn't have guys like open quick enough for Zach to throw the ball to. He was like, the routes was too long. The O-line couldn't block. The routes was too long. And then when you look at Zach's stats, like everybody praised Daniel Jones, but when you look at Zach's stats next to Daniel Jones, they look almost exactly the same. Zach had a worse O-line. He didn't have Hall all year, and then he had Mike LaFleur calling the plays. I just think, like, when all the young quarterbacks that was drafted with Zach, when you look at them on the sideline with their coaches, with their players on the team, they all like pumped them up. It's almost like everybody was harder than Zach, like just putting them down too much. That of course he's not going to thrive if everybody around you. When the owner come out and say we just like a QB away, when you got a young QB that you just drafted 2 years and you haven't done everything right by him, it's kind of not good to me. It don't look good.
No, you bring up a great point, Jets gang, and I appreciate you with this call in, and I'll definitely give you my thoughts. So, Jets gang, appreciate you, my friend. Great call in there. So I'm happy that we got to hear from a Zach Wilson guy because people forget that this Zach Wilson's on the team, and he's going to be on this team next year. Now, my only issue with Zach Wilson, and this is just my perspective, is I can't go into the season with an unknown, an uncertainty, and a basing it off potential with a quarterback, just based off how good the team is right now around the quarterback. It just doesn't sit right with me to put that much risk. And I believed in Zach. Anybody that watched my channel, you know that I defended Zach throughout his adversity, and I tried to root for him, and I tried to find the light in his game, but he also brings up a good point that he wasn't in a good situation. You can obviously tell that you can point the finger at Mike LaFleur more than Zach Wilson in certain situations, certain aspects. And I just cannot go into next season with Zach Wilson as QB1. Maybe you bring in a guy like Minshew or Jimmy G, or because he said someone that's not Carr or them to compete. But I feel like, and he's right, man, the organization, this is why I just feel like this Jets team will never find a quarterback through the draft, is because the New York media and the market that it takes to develop a quarterback, you got to be patient, and we're just not patient. The Giants were patient with Daniel Jones, and look what happened. But we as a fan base and as a media market, it's hard to be patient, and we even have the top dogs are impatient, right? It's not just the fans, it's not just the media. Woody Johnson's impatient because he mentioned, like Jets gang said, Woody Johnson said himself that we're a quarterback away, and how do you think Zach Wilson takes that? Zach Wilson heard that, right? So it's a really hard situation to survive. And I think there's a big mental aspect to Zach Wilson, which is why he's been failing. Personally, I think he possesses all the qualities you want in a quarterback physically. He has the arm, he has the athleticism, he has the stuff. But for whatever reason, the mental aspect of it has not been clicking for him. And you can blame the coaches for that. You can blame a lot of different factors. But the reality is I can't go into next season personally with a question mark that you just don't know what you're getting. Because if you go all in for Zach Wilson this season, you bring in an offensive mind to really develop him, you try to salvage Zach Wilson, and he's the quarterback week 1, and then unfortunately he crumbles and he just looks like the same quarterback, then the whole regime is done. I mean, it's all done. Whereas you can go get an experienced guy that's done it before, and you know what you're getting in him, and hopeful that he can give you that prosperity. And also, You can tell based off of the articles and that we're hearing that the team doesn't rally around Zach Wilson. And I think that's an important part to this as well, guys. We heard his own teammates talk like just not on the same page as Zach and frustrated with Zach. And if you go into next season with Zach as your guy, I feel like that's going to really not have a lot of positive momentum heading into the season just inside the offensive locker room. And listen, best case scenario for me is we bring in Aaron Rodgers. You keep Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson learns behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 seasons. And then Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback for the next decade after him learning behind Aaron Rodgers and the new system. I mean, that's awesome. That's what I would love to see. Now, is that going to happen? I have no freaking clue. And it's probably unrealistic to believe that. But I still genuinely stand on Zach Wilson having the physical tools to be a good quarterback, but he's not clicking mentally, which has led to his demise. He lost confidence in himself. When you lose confidence in yourself as a young quarterback, it's really hard to regain that confidence. So, Jets gang, I appreciate you coming on here and bringing up Zach Wilson, because I feel like that is a conversation that we're kind of forgetting about, that we have a quarterback on this team under contract for cheap for 3 years. And I just can't say with confidence I trust Zach Wilson next season. Go get Aaron Rodgers, let him develop Zach, and then we'll talk about Zach in a couple seasons. My man, Euphoria with the $5. If Rodgers come here, he's the best QB in the AFC East. He is. Who's better than Aaron Rodgers in the division? Josh Allen? No. Sorry. Aaron Rodgers will be the best quarterback in the division if we bring him in. And guess who has the best defense in the division? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I like our chances in the division if we bring in Aaron Rodgers. Euphoria, my friend, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Really does help out the channel a lot, my friend. So we're going to wrap up the show here, guys. I appreciate all the callers. You guys all brought up great discussions about all those little things, man. If you were not able to call in, my apologies. We're going to do these more often throughout the week, but I do have to go somewhere right now, which is why I have to end the stream abruptly here at the hour mark. Thank you all for tuning into the show. As always, if you're not already, hit that like button. And I appreciate all the support, guys. The Jets, we are in the midst of an offseason that's going to bring a lot of change, especially on the offensive side of the ball with the quarterback and the offensive coordinator search. There's a lot of things to look forward to in this Jets offseason, man. And I'm excited to bring it to you guys live here on Jets Media. I got a lot of fun things planned. And thank you guys again for all the support. Let's go freaking Jets. And I'll catch you guys next time on the Jets Media live show. Peace out, everybody. And let's go Jets. Peace.